Okay, well, this year's session started on time in March, but it went way, way over. And after the longest session we've ever had, with so much subterfuge, so much gamesmanship, we have to ask ourselves, what the hell happened? And now we're going to find out. So let's jump into the rotation and let's hear about it. I think this is actually probably the longest session that I could even find in history. They never go that long, but amazing, absolutely amazing. We had almost a 3 months, 4 month session. We got it done a day before the damn next fiscal year started. This is absolutely insane. I mean, one of the most insane sessions I have seen in a long time, besides the one where they gavelled out early and left everything up hanging. This time they left it hanging on for practically ever. But we are so grateful to have our guest here today, Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith of the Florida Senate. How are you doing today, Carlos?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Good to be here. You are so
I am.
right. Oh my God, that session was so long. It was 105 days long.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be 60 days long.
That's a long time to be away from home, isn't it? Not getting a chance to be with your constituents and things of that sort. But you are going back and forth right now. In fact, you've been trying. How many times now you've gone down to Alligator Alcatraz, or Alligator Auschwitz, as I call it, and yet you were turned away.
I will be returning for my second visit there tomorrow, Saturday. Well, okay. So, what day are we right now? I think we're pre-recording this.
It's Friday. Live right now. We'll have a replay of this on Sunday at 11 at our normal broadcast time. So the folks who are watching on Sunday at the moment, thank you for joining. Please leave comments, ask questions. We'll definitely do the best to address your concerns. But if you're live right now, you're live on with the senator. So hit that like, subscribe, and leave your comments in the comment section.
Be sure to soak yourself in DEET before you get there. I've been hearing that the bugs are pretty prevalent.
It was ridiculous. So here's what happened. So all of us were caught off guard by the creation of this Everglades immigrant detention camp. It came together in a matter of 8 days. It was announced on a propaganda video by our unelected attorney general on social media. And basically, it was intentionally timed. The announcement of the creation of this horrific immigration camp in the Everglades was timed to avoid legislative oversight. So as long as the legislative session was 105 days, and even before that, we were in committee in all of January and all of February. We had all the way until mid-June for the state to even give us a peek into their plans to build this gator gulag down in the Everglades. And they waited until session was over because they didn't want to hear what lawmakers on either side of the aisle had to say about it. They didn't want legislative oversight. They wanted to be able to call all the shots and do whatever the hell they want. And that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Governor DeSantis has used his emergency authority because he declared a state of emergency 2 years ago on the immigration crisis, which is a crisis that he just basically declared. There was no objective data that basically determines what is considered an emergency and what is not considered an emergency. And get this. So his emergency powers, he claims, gave him the authority first to seize land that is owned by Miami-Dade County and Collier County. That is their property. Isn't
it Masuki tribal land?
Part of it is, yes. But it is the jurisdiction of the two counties. Okay. So under this alleged emergency authority, he seized that land, gave them no money for it. Okay. It's not like it's being sold to the state. He just seized it out of their hands and said, we are building this disgusting, inhumane detention camp here for Everglades, where we're going to house the worst of the worst. Well, I want to this is the way that we're going to start this conversation because I'm fired up about this. The state of Florida is lying to us. They are lying deliberately about what's happening at Alligator Alcatraz. They've claimed that this facility is meant to hold the worst of the worst violent criminals. That is a blatant lie. It's a blatant lie. Just a few days ago, I did a tour of the Orange County Jail, where many ICE detainees are being held for usually 72 hours. If there's an ICE hold on a person in the system, then the county jail is required to hold them there for about 72 hours. We confirm with the Orange County Jail Corrections Chief that several ICE detainees who were not there because they've committed any crimes, they're not facing any active charges whatsoever. They're only at the Orange County Jail because they have an ICE hold on them for being undocumented. Many of those detainees with no crimes have already been transported and transferred to this Everglades immigrant detention camp. So if they are not facing any active crimes and they've not been charged with anything, and the only thing that the government has on these people is that they are undocumented, which, by the way, in many circumstances is a civil violation. It is not a criminal violation. Why are we sending them to a detention camp when they've not committed any crimes and not done anything wrong?
Isn't this they're also a DACA recipient there? We're supposed to be protected by DACA?
Yeah, the DAC.
Yes, it was recently reported and confirmed by the Orlando Sentinel that a DACA recipient is being held in this so-called Alligator Alcatraz. DACA recipients they have legal status.
Yeah.
They are legal in the United States. Okay. So we're being lied to about the fact that this is meant to be for the worst of the worst. So I went down there once. I went there, honestly, hours after President Donald Trump was there. So the only glimpse that we've had into this facility is what we got when Fox News was allowed in with the president of the United States with their cameras, and they, showed us their sanitized, exclusive Fox News clips of what it looks like inside. And we discovered that the day that Donald Trump was there, before any detainees had even arrived, and this was meant to be the best image they could put to the public about the conditions of this facility, there were floodwaters that came directly into the room where they had the flags and the microphone and the podium and everything set up for their propaganda show.
I saw the photos online of the bad boy flooded.
That means alligators and everything else.
I mean, not just that, the bacteria. And when he says sanitized photos, I was like, I hope they sanitize that place before they bring people in. But you know the answer to that is no. Everybody knows what the answer to that.
Why on the water did they, really quick, Governor, did they give you
Senator,
sorry.
future governors?
Sorry,
she can see into the future.
I'm
she was
sorry.
talking about it. She had the governor on her mind.
Senator, it's okay. Sorry, Senator Carlos. Did they even say anything other than, oh, we're just gonna put this here for criminals of immigration, immigrants who's committing crimes, or is it just you just see that it's just for everybody?
We've been given no information. Like, we literally have 0.00 info and intel about what's happening in this state-run facility, which is why.
Senator, I just want to say to the Americans listening, the American citizens listening to this, all right, for each and every one of y'all listening, whether you're pro-Trump, anti-Trump, however you are, understand that either way, successful or not, of this policy, when this place is emptied out of the people they say are supposed to be there, and then they're going to deport them, who do you think they're going to do and put there when they need to keep those beds full for these private companies they've contracted with?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm asking. Like, is it just
us people who they can convict of any people convicted of possession? You will find eventually in these private prisons. I mean, most people go to jail for weed. Most people who even are arrested get court ordered to go to rehab. If you're lucky, in Florida, more than 20 grams is a felony. So like I need people to wake up at this moment and understand that as of right now, innocent people minding their business, whether they're here documented or not, are just going about their days, and these are the people getting thrown in there. Phil Arroyo, who's an immigration lawyer that I know in the Orlando area, says he has a client who has a green card that is currently there. So these are not the hardened criminals and invaders and MS-13 that they validate these policies for, that they validate their emergency powers over.
We're being lied to.
Just look at how ICE is. You can't really see me, Senator. I'm off to the side here. But
swing over, Carlos.
We really look at like how these people are being rounded up. Just the way that they are being, I don't even know if you could call it being arrested. But
no, because there's no legit warrant. There's no bench warrant from a judge.
These officers aren't identifying themselves. They're literally wearing masks. It's honestly like it's reminiscent. I remember back in the day during the BLM protests, how conservatives were all up in arms because there was these group of people called Antifa that were wearing masks and running around all crazy. And now it's literally part of our government that these people are not identifying themselves. They're in California, they're going into weed farms at this point. Right.
Yes, they this morning they raided several cannabis farms in California to round up immigrants who were working on the harvest.
Yeah. I spoke to one. So we went to the Orange County Jail a few days ago, and we were brought into a dorm where they had, I would say, somewhere between 20 and 30 detainees who were there. The criteria for being in this dorm, I just want to be very clear. This group of 20 to 30 men that were there was that they had an ICE hold on them, meaning ICE was asking Orange County Jail, keep them there in the jail until we come pick them up. But the folks that were in that dorm, those 20 to 30 men that we spoke to a few days ago, had no criminal charges that they were facing. So then why were they there? How did they get there?
Sense.
They got hemmed up.
The vast majority of them were picked up by the Florida Highway Patrol that has been weaponized by the governor to stop caring about highway safety and to instead just find undocumented people who are driving on our roads and apprehend them, detain them, put them into local jails, and then transfer them either to Alligator Alcatraz or some other detention center. One young man who was from Venezuela, who I spoke to at the Orange County Jail, told me his story. He said, I'm here. I have an ICE hold on me. I'm not facing any criminal charges, but we were pulled over near downtown. I was a passenger. We were pulled over near downtown Orlando. And the reason they really started asking a lot of questions is because they found weed in the car. Well, guess what? The weed was the driver's weed who had a medical cannabis card, had the Florida medical cannabis ID card. But during that traffic stop, it was determined by Florida Highway Patrol that this young man who was a passenger, who was not the person possessing cannabis and who was not the person who had the card and who was not driving, had an ICE hold on him because he was undocumented. He was not facing any active charges. He wasn't there because of some domestic battery incident or because he committed some violent crime. He was just in the car when they got pulled over. I don't know where he is now. I mean, he may be at Alligator Alcatraz at this point. And this same young man, by the way, had legal status 2 months ago. He had legal status 2 months ago before that program, which was called the Immigration Parole Program that was enacted under the Biden administration, was a legal immigration program for individuals from certain countries under certain criteria. That program was canceled and revoked by the Trump administration. And a number of people, including those who had TPS, who were legal, who did follow the legal process, whether you agree with it or not, they followed the legal process. They had legal status. they had that status canceled and revoked by the Trump administration, and they're being told you better self-deport because if you don't, we will deport you.
I saw that there was a U.S. I recall he was a Marine or Army veteran. He was a vet. That's an end of story. Who had a self-deport recently. I mean, there's just horror stories of folks who have done this the right way. The whole point is, oh, folks need to do this legally and you can't be here. And they even use the term illegal to dehumanize people, and that's the whole point of all this is when they can dehumanize us, then they can treat us like animals. They can throw us in cages. And this is where we're at in this country. And the sad part is that for some people, this is brand new to them. But for a lot of people, especially folks in Orlando, they know that police pull you over for no reason. If folks in Tampa know that too.
Yeah.
Well, that's been the basic problem is, again, the dehumanization. When they talked about we want to deport 21 million people, actually they said 21 undocumented illegal immigrants. They didn't even say people. They usually kind of leave that word out. But turning people into a large number, again, dehumanizes the entire situation. And they do not realize who these people are. In fact, that these are our neighbors. These are the people who shore up our community. These are the people who not only clean our houses, restaurants, they are the backbone of the construction industry here in Florida, as well as the agricultural industry.
The economy is going to be hard hit by the way this is going. On top of that, they just passed. They're in the process of passing the congressional budget. And send to the president's desk soon. That is going to make the ICE budget triple what it is now. They'll be larger than the U.S. Marine Corps in budget size. I mean, and these are serious things to consider. Is who are these people going to be turned against when they're done turning them against who they're turned on right now? Because the numbers are coming for the rest of us. You can see that they've used cannabis prohibition since the 70s in a weaponized manner once the Marijuana Tax Act was struck down in 69. Nixon came back hard with the war on drugs. They knew why they made cannabis Schedule 1, and this is the most widely used substance. Thought leaders use it, doctors use it, nurses use it, lawyers use it. What's the Powder Peter Tosh lyrics go?
I hate to be kind of sappy about it, but I mean, cannabis has a whole culture around it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like there's music, there's art, there's rituals behind everything. It would be easy to be just as bigoted about cannabis consumers as it is against these immigrants.
Well, and cannabis prohibition is being used as a weaponized policy. Listen to what the senator's saying.
Yeah,
it was the driver's weed. It's legal. The guy's got a card. The dude in the back, there's no probable cause. You shouldn't even really need to know his name. But I mean, obviously there's weed, and once there's weed, that gives the cops carte blanche to pull people's papers. The cop needs to check the paperwork.
Everybody though?
Everybody in the car, because and again, the way the Florida laws are set up around the legal cannabis that we have here, it needs to be in its original container. It needs to be sealed. It's got to be treated under the law like an open container of wine.
Medical
Man, look, if they find shake on your floor in the state of Florida, they can still mess with you. You're giving them probable cause. And but here's the point, is that there was no legal probable cause to do anything to this guy, right?
No.
This is crazy of a case if I ever heard.
Was there any probable cause? Was there a smell as probable cause?
But they don't need it. If they have an ice hold on you, ICE doesn't need it. They're just claiming.
How could the cop that pulled them over, who is not ICE, known this guy had an ice hold?
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
Because if it was Florida Highway Patrol, Highway Patrol has been weaponized by the state specifically to do immigration enforcement work.
Well, hold on. Weaponized by the state? Did you vote for this, or weaponized by Governor DeSantis?
Weaponized by Governor DeSantis. It was part of
it. It was not you, the legal legislative representative, we the people, our voice.
It was
this is a governor weaponizing the police against
it. Was passed as a bill during the special session that we had before the regular session. The special immigration session. One of the bills, basically gave
gave the Randy Fines bill.
Well, speaking of our tax dollars, we've not even gotten to the part where we talk about how Alligator Alcatraz, this so-called Alligator Alcatraz, is actually going to cost Florida taxpayers $450 million.
I have nothing to do. Hey,
now, what silo is that coming from, Carlos?
I ain't got nothing to do with that. Get my name or pick me up out of it.
I did look through the budget. I didn't see anything.
I don't know, but to put in context how much $450 million is, because I mean, it's just a big number and it's just kind of hard to conceptualize how much money that is. We could hire almost 9,000 public school teachers in Florida with $450 million.
THC or something with that.
That's going to come out of hurricane relief. It's going to come out of our public schools. You can forget about Doge. You can forget about, with all the talk that we see about Doge.
Not saving us any money.
If you just do the math, let's just, hey, if you don't care about immigration, fine. Let's just talk about fiscal conservatism and let's just talk about like the whole Doge thing. In the Florida Department of Corrections, in our state prisons, the average cost per every year, the taxpayer cost per resident in our Florida prisons per inmate is somewhere hovering just below 30 grand a year is the cost to taxpayers to have someone in one of our state prisons all year long, just under 30 grand. If you do the math, $450 million is what we're being told Alligator Alcatraz costs with a maximum capacity of 5,000 beds. We're spending over 200 grand a year per detainee in Alligator Alcatraz to keep them there at that facility. For what purpose? Why are we spending all of that? I'm not making the argument that all of these detainees should be in our state prisons, but if we're even looking at government efficiency, like what? Why? It was just discovered that top Republican campaign donors have actually been given lucrative multi-million-dollar no-bid contracts to build and operate Alligator Alcatraz.
I know you.
You don't say.
No. I know you ain't on here telling us nothing. I know they ain't playing with us like this, Senator. We don't have time.
Who knew Gio would get involved?
We work way too hard to be dealing with something that's surrounded by alligators and water, and here it is. We're just trying to legalize THC.
Oh my!
So we can go ahead and
it's more than that.
I know.
I want folks to really understand, like, they're building a concentration camp with our tax dollars. They built it in a week. And there are people from the hurricanes 2 years ago, 4 years ago.
Where's their relief? How can we build in a week?
Well, I know enough about municipal civil engineering that if you're going to build a facility anywhere, you've got to have an environmental impact statement. You have to have a health impact analysis. All these kind of things go into the preparations of creating this thing. So how do you create it within 8 days with zero preparation?
Gary, the governor declared a state of emergency. Emergency powers let him circumvent the bureaucracy in most cases. So all these permits you're talking about under a state of emergency, really, we're just not going to get to those anytime soon, which means you're storing human beings in places that haven't been vetted to be safe for humans to be stored.
Which is why I need to get the fuck in there.
Right.
Okay, listen,
you need to hurry up.
I have statutory authority as a state senator to visit any state prison in Florida at my pleasure. Those 3 words, at my pleasure. It is in Florida statute. What that means in Florida law, at my pleasure, is that we elected lawmakers, state representatives, state senators, regardless of party, have legislative oversight authority to visit any state prison or detention center without providing them notice in advance. I don't have to schedule an appointment with you. I don't need a sanitized tour for you to show me what you want to show me. I can show up to a state prison or a state detention facility whenever the fuck I want. Whenever I want, and there's nothing you can do about it. That is the law. That is the law. It is cited in 2 statutes.
Right.
So
You're the
when
man
we
I
went-
voted for to take
Right,
care of my
that's
tax
absolutely
dollars,
correct.
not Governor DeSantis. He just knows how to spend them. But you're the legislative branch. You're the ones
That's
in
right.
charge of the budget.
Right.
You
And
have
again,
budget oversight. How the fuck does he have any authority to keep you out of there?
right. And what I'm describing to you, by the way, are not the things I would like to have, or I would love, to have this authority or have the opportunity. No. This is the law as it currently is written. And I have done this several times. I've shown up to several state prisons operated by the Department of Corrections to do exactly what I just described. I'm here. I've not given you any notice. I'm a state senator. I want to go in. I want to talk to inmates. I want to see what's going on at this particular state prison.
I saw you
So-
on the video earlier
you
this
in
week
at all?
saying that right to the guard, the person at the front with the gun.
So we
who didn't wanna
showed
let you
up,
in.
right? So we showed up on July 3rd, the day before 4th of July, Independence Day, and we're like, hey, we popped up on them because that is our right. It doesn't matter that it's brand new. It doesn't matter that, the governor feels a certain way about how he wants people to think about. None of that matters.
Correct. Surprise, motherfuckers.
Right,
We're
we're
here
We
to check
have
the
to
tax
sit, and
dollars.
they're like,
it should be okay anyways, right?
they're like, we can't let you in. Hubbity.
No, that's not
they-
how that works.
But
They gave
what
shifting
was the outcome?
excuses. They gave shifting excuses for why they didn't want to let us in. And then finally, what their answer was, because we talked to several people, we ended up getting the Division of Emergency Management that runs the site. That's another thing, on the phone. And they cited unspecified safety concerns. They said, we have safety concerns, so we're not going to let you in. What safety concerns do you have for us? The President of the United States was here just hours ago.
Right.
Did you have safety concerns
Right.
with
Well,
him?
it should be okay. It should be superb inside of there right now. It should be okay.
If it's
for
clear
any-
by Secret Service, what is the problem with the state senator from Orlando
They
rolling up in
denied.
there?
Right.
Put
So
it
they
out, same shit. Like what?
after a couple hours, they just wouldn't let us in. So we left.
Are you gonna try and go back, Senator? Are you going back?
So we left. I'm going back tomorrow, but yesterday, in response to all of that, I filed a lawsuit alongside 4 other lawmakers, the ones who were there with me, who were denied entry, and we're suing the state of Florida because of their illegal refusal to let us into this so-called alligator.
Oh no,
He's gone.
We lost him for a second there.
We
Yeah,
lost
he was with Chef Jones, Anna Escamani,
Yeah, I saw the video on Instagram.
Raina, and I forget who else was there.
Max Frost was there.
Yeah,
and Angie Nixon.
He
Yeah,
had the
Angie
videos-
Nixon. Yeah.
He had the video showing when they wouldn't let him in.
Yeah. I saw it on IG earlier this week, and he was there last weekend, right before the 4th of July. A lot of sneaky shit going on in the government right now, and I mean the senator clearly is our elected representative in the government, in the legislative branch, the voice of the people, and like he said, they approved the budget. They're the ones in charge.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we filled it in, no problem.
You're just giving some commentary on.
I think you can hear me.
powers.
So I apologize for that. I continue to have technical difficulties for some reason today. So we sued them.
No, it's those state laptops. They need to get upgraded. But they don't have any money because clearly they're blowing it building concentration camps, and rather than funding the infrastructure that we need.
Right. So to wrap this up, we sued them yesterday. I am one of 5 plaintiffs against the state of Florida. It's 5 lawmakers. We're suing Governor Ron DeSantis and the State Division of Emergency Management, telling them their refusal to let us in to exercise our legislative oversight authority is illegal. And we're asking a judge to force the state of Florida to allow us unfettered access to Alligator Alcatraz and all of their detention facilities at our pleasure, which is our statutory right.
Well, I wish you buen viajes when you get over there. Be safe, because we know it's a nasty area, and we do have to kind of segue somehow into the actual topic we brought you on for in the first place. But let's go this way. The guy who got pulled over, who had a card, during the budget during the last budget committee meetings, things of that sort, they threw in a codicil that automatically revokes the medical cards of people who have been convicted of a misdemeanor or are convicted nolo. Is that correct? That people can actually get their medical cards revoked?
Yeah, Gary, that is Senate Bill 2514. That was basically the budget for the health department. And yeah, if this new law will suspend your medical cannabis access if you get a drug conviction. And a drug conviction can be as simple as improperly storing your legal medicine. You know, like we said, in Florida, what just happened in this situation with this car getting pulled over is that, again, you got to treat it like an open container. You know, it has to be stored exactly the same level of scrutiny. And if you got any shake in the car, you got a joint in the ashtray, it's funky in there regardless, because you shouldn't be operating a vehicle. You're supposed to be smoking in a private, domicile. So these are all the things and hoops you got to jump through, and not doing it right gives the cops carte blanche, probable cause to check everybody's paperwork, and somebody paperwork was lacking in the car. And
now, normally when session goes on,
and now you can get charged with a crime. Like the driver can get the weed charge. This guy gets deported. This is just,
I thought it was like prior convictions. So, for example, I have two weed convictions before I got my med card.
Yeah,
both of them for about a gram, and then I had a DUI. So I'm kind of expecting my card to get revealed.
So what I saw, Carlos, is when the final version of the bill came through, and I was looking at it. From my understanding, it's basically you got to catch a trafficking charge. In Florida, 20 grams or more is a felony. But 25 pounds or between that and 25 pounds is like trafficking, and then over 25 pounds, there's mandatory minimums in Florida. So this is the type of charges that essentially, when in regards to at least cannabis, that can get your current medical card revoked. But there are so many things. I mean, we're in the middle of a opioid crisis too. People who also have legal prescriptions. If you don't have your bottle right, or you got a random pill in your purse or in your pocket, there are so many things that can get you popped for felony drug charges in Florida. The way they've written our drug laws, that these things that we think are for bad people and that they say they are being used against everyday people, and then even being used to the point where now people are just going about their business in Florida are being sent to this alligator Alcatraz, as such the Attorney General has nicknamed it. So cute. And like the senator said, the current Attorney General is unelected. He was appointed by Governor DeSantis because the Attorney General Moody was appointed to replace Marco Rubio since he's Secretary of State now. And understand that the Attorney General was Ron DeSantis's chief of staff prior to this. So he is his top dog, his numero uno, his hitman, his the one behind the whole organized, of the corruption that we see in his administration. All right, the shot caller, if you will. And this shot caller embezzled, supposedly, allegedly, $10 million of our tax dollars that we overpaid on, that Medicaid refunded the state. The governor's, people's, him essentially wired that money, if you will, to the Hope Florida Foundation, which is run by the governor's wife. And then the governor's wife foundation then sent that money to two separate PACs. One of those PACs was run by the current Attorney General when he was chief of staff. It was a PAC, and they used that PAC money to run anti-legalization ads on the last vote. And they used that money to run ads to try and stop the reproductive rights amendment too. So they used our own tax dollars against us to stop us from legalizing weed. And now they're pulling people over, even though their weed is legal. And somebody in the car whose papers wasn't right is now being sent to a concentration camp in the Everglades, possibly, and then deported. And now the Supreme Court this week said Trump can have people deported to countries they're not from.
What?
So they sending people who from Venezuela to Sudan, people winding up in Africa and like no hablo, and they in Africa.
I'm convinced that Trump got a lot of family members in the office. I'm convinced that it's really not what you know, it's who you know, because this is, even with Governor DeSantis, it's like he knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, and they can
like I was saying, that these private prison corporations, They're the ones. I mean, the same lobbyists that we saw the big cannabis multi-state operators hire is the same ones that the private prisons use. And these guys are so connected that they get every meeting they want with the governor's people, with the folks that are that are on the opposite side of the aisle is the senator. And I mean, these are the folks that are paying to run our state to infringe on our democracy. I mean, there's a reason why it takes 60% of our votes to pass something that the legislator could pass very easily with a simple majority.
Right.
Well, one thing is interesting the legislation has done. I mean, first they demonized DEI, which is ridiculous. They also demonized the word woke, and unexpectedly they also demonized the word hope this year.
Man, well, look, we're in these culture wars about words and people's pronouns, and it's about this money. Let's just call it what it is. It's all about money.
It's not even real money.
Well,
There's a lot of grift.
I'm talking about hope. I'm talking about the Hope Foundation, of course, and the Schools of Hope.
Everything. There's grift everywhere. Look, Alligator Alcatraz, $450 million, multi-million-dollar no bid contracts being given to top Republican donors. That is happening.
Unapproved.
All the higher ed, anti-woke shit that DeSantis has been behind for so long. The takeover he did of New College that is a couple years ago of higher ed.
New textbooks that they're going to order.
All of those people are making beyond six-figure salaries now. He's appointing all of his buddies to that New College public university. Same thing with the Hope Florida scandal. Grift. They stole $10 million of Medicaid money to basically pay for anti-Amendment 3 ads, anti-Amendment 4 ads. They took the money, put it into committees, into political action committees, into the Republican Party of Florida's coffers. They money laundered taxpayer public money for their benefit.
And if they do it once, they're going to do it again.
How can we get in front of them?
They're going to do it again.
They're
going to do it again.
Sit down.
Well, the Hope Foundation, obviously, they shifted $10 million to anti-Amendment 3 ads. Now, the good people at True Booth.
Now, Gary, you do it a disjustice by making it that simplistic.
I'm digging deeper into it.
The governor's wife's foundation gave money to the current attorney general when he was the shot caller for DeSantis, and his PAC, the one that he oversaw, was the one that gave the money to run the ads. So they're moving money 2 and 3 levels deep, just to circumvent the law, to circumvent the Constitution, to circumvent the people's will, to circumvent the job we elected Senator Smith to do.
Well, Carlos, what is going on with the investigation of the Hope Foundation, and where is it going, or will it go someplace, or will it go with the Epstein files?
Well, if you can believe it or not, the Hope Florida investigation into that money laundering scheme that is led by our state's unelected attorney general, who was then Governor Ron DeSantis' chief of staff. The investigation into that.
I knew it.
The investigation into that was led by the Republican-controlled Florida House of Representatives. They found out a lot of information during that investigation, but then the investigation basically stopped because witnesses stopped showing up to the legislative committee that was conducting the oversight hearings. But let's not get it twisted. This is not over. Why? Because it was confirmed that the state attorney up in northern Florida in Leon County, the state attorney has confirmed there is a criminal investigation into this matter that is ongoing.
So Jack Campbell's on.
For everybody else in the viewers, the witnesses that are going to be used against the Attorney General of Florida are disappearing and not showing up. The top cop in the state is dirty, allegedly. And then any witnesses we got that were there are now all of a sudden going ghost. Man, so the top cop in Florida is really that. That's what's going on right now.
Well, getting back to what I was talking about before, though, we now have 600,000 signatures for the next Amendment 3, so to speak, whatever amendment it gets.
We're about the Smart and Safe campaign. You're right, Gary, is about 70% there. They got some requirements that the added bureaucracy that was added to stop, Democratic initiatives at the ballot box. They got to get a certain percentage from a certain amount of counties too. You just can't run up the score and get your numbers just in the big cities like Tampa, Miami, Orlando anymore. You actually got to get a certain certain amount from a certain amount of counties across the state. So you got to put together some type of petition or field game to get the rural counties too. And that's where we're at right now in the campaign. They got the numbers, like they're trending in the right direction. They're going to get it back on the ballot. Now here's the interesting thing, is that they got to go back before the Supreme Court again to approve it for the ballot. And we know last time the Supreme Court said, yeah, it's good. Now all of a sudden the Attorney General's out here talking shit, saying it's not going to pass. He knows something.
Yeah,
he got some magical legal argument that could defeat the approval that they gave it last time.
Right.
When this new amendment even is more restrictive than last year's in last elections, in the sense that they got a public smoking ban. We're about to vote into our Constitution. So we're never going to be able to smoke weed in public in Florida, plain and simple, because it's going to be in our Constitution with a smoking ban.
That's the Grutter bill.
Okay, anyways, it don't matter.
I mean, so but this is what in if you want legal weed, that's something you're going to have to accept as a policy.
That's the thing you have to understand, Katrina, is that if you're caught smoking in public, you're probably going to get deported to Mexico.
Yeah, that's we say all that to get to this. Thank you, Senator. Your thoughts?
Get your ass in the back.
So it's just so unfortunate. It's just so unfortunate that all of this.
It is. You're trying to make a light of it, but it's sad, Senator. I really wish I can be down there with you when you go to the alligator Alcatraz.
I'm just getting, like, even as we're sitting here talking, like, I have, I don't know, 150 unread text messages in the various threads that I'm in just since we started this podcast. And apparently the Division of Emergency Management is now going to splinter us off into groups for our guided tour tomorrow.
Okay,
so
then.
I expected we were all going to be together, but now they're separating us into teams. I'm sure they've intentionally done that because they want to break some. Say, I'm probably identified as a troublemaker. I'm a troublemaker, so I'm going to be broken off into like some other group where there's no other troublemakers that I can.
They want to ask some questions.
Well, I know that you're with troublemakers.
They're curious why the senator's so curious.
Right. The senator.
That's exactly what they want. They want to get him alone in a room, and then when they say, "We're curious why you're so curious about what we do around here."
What do you want to know? You gonna tell us, Senator?
Ridiculous.
Come back and tell us what's going on, Senator Smith, please.
Man, Senator, I'll just say this, man. I know Carlos isn't necessarily a religious person, but I'm gonna pray for your well-being to get back and Godspeed on a safe travels. Alligator Alley alone is just, driving down to Miami is never fun. So,
well, while you're at it, pray for the detainees.
Yes,
because many of these people did not commit any crimes.
Yeah.
And they're being held there in horrific conditions. We've already heard reports about non-functioning toilets, terrible or barely to no food, no clean water, obviously really, really extreme conditions related to the large mosquitoes that are down there. Listen, crime or not, as someone who is a person who believes in criminal justice reform and in making sure that individuals who are in our state prisons are treated with dignity and respect, regardless of the crimes they committed, because they are human beings. They are human beings. I don't think this is who we are as a country. It's not. There's no precedent for this in modern history.
This is all built on an airstrip. Did the airstrip even have electricity? I mean, it's hard to believe it would actually have plumbing.
We've not even talked about the environmental concerns, because there's taxpayer resource concerns, $450 million, clear human rights concerns, emergency power concerns, governor seizing land and being able to do all of this in the dark. I haven't even gotten to the environmental concerns yet, and there are many.
Really quick, Senator, what's the youngest immigrant they have in there? That
detainee.
What's detainee?
I mean, they ain't giving him no info, but we've seen kids.
Kids? Did you see?
We've seen kids 4, 6,
I don't know how many
40
people are in there.
I'm talking about in this place.
Yeah, well,
who is it?
I don't know how many people are in there.
For men or women? Who is it for?
You don't know. He about to go down there for this tour, but
I don't know. But one thing was reported in the Miami Herald is the Miami Herald obtained a planning document from the state that talks about the guidelines that they will use at this so-called alligator Alcatraz. And the guidelines included protocols on how to deal with pregnant women in Alligator Alcatraz and children in Alligator Alcatraz.
Oh, man.
That was in the guidelines, written guidelines that were obtained by the Miami Herald in their investigative reporting. Guidelines which have not been made public.
Right. Is there anything we can
Again.
sign on behalf of this? Is there
Again, it's all a secret for a reason. They're hiding everything.
Sure, Katrina, there's petitions you can sign online. But what's the
Here's the
petition?
question:
What's the
Has the
petition
attorney
gonna do? We
has
just
the
ran
Attorney
through the
General of Florida
corruption
weighed in on
of the
this?
governor,
Yeah.
the corruption of the attorney general. You talking about signing the petition?
This out, man.
Oh my God! Look at the modern era, how we've done to us. You know,
Guys,
I'm gonna sign this petition, and it's gonna make a difference.
one at a time, guys.
Senator, has our Surgeon General done a tour of the facility yet?
I don't know.
I mean, not that he's big into health, of course, but I don't think he really is, unless he's selling.
Well,
something
I mean,
for it.
I would presume that he would be very concerned about the reports that have been shared with the media that detainees are being immediately vaccinated without their consent.
Oh, man. Oh, come on.
I mean, those are areas where Zika was.
I mean,
prevalent.
if you care about an issue, if you don't want to be forced to be vaccinated, if you don't want to wear masks, how do you just suddenly turn around and then force vaccinations on people you don't like, and then wear masks to apprehend people in their community only like when you want to? Like, what do they stand for? Be consistent. I don't understand.
They know better, right? They know better, the senator, because this whole facility is a breeding ground for Ebola, Zika, dengue, and everything else, and they're giving these people their shots because they know that.
Well, there's no dengue there that I know of, but I know that there are
I
definitely
thought
Zika
Republicans
mosquitoes.
were opposed to forced
The shots.
vaccinations.
As
They
much
pitched a
shit
fit about
talking
that
as
for
they
years.
As they did, yeah.
during COVID about these shots, and they still shit
Come
talk.
on.
I'm
my
unvaccinated
goodness.
and ready to party. You see how this bullshit?
I don't need my mask.
I'm like, you probably don't even wear condoms. You a public health risk. You won't even get vaccinated.
Oh, shit.
I mean, we could talk about this all day long because, like I said, it's a fiery topic, and I'm certain it is deeply
Senator,
on the hearts and minds of anybody who has empathy.
We appreciate you, Senator, for standing up and being a champion and speaking up when so many people remaining quiet. I mean, you said 5 of y'all filed suit. There's 120 people in the House of Representatives, and only 5 got the cojones to tell the governor, yo, what are you doing with our tax dollars? And I know you're not planning to put people here. And as much shit talking as y'all did about shots, now you're giving people shots without their consent.
Expeditiously.
Oh, man.
Well, anyways,
well, I will say a lot of our just because the others didn't join us, we didn't give them the opportunity to join us. We're the plaintiffs, and so we are the ones who are parties to the case. But we know many of our Democratic colleagues support us in this endeavor, and some Republicans support us in this endeavor too.
They need to be public and vocal about it. Governor DeSantis needs to be held to account by his own party. And the Attorney General of Florida needs to be held to account by we the people. Yeah. I mean, you do not get to be our top cop. 1, you unelected. 2, you dirty. And we know this. It's not like it's a secret.
Grimy. Like, he got all the insiders too. All the inside scoop.
You know, but again, this is where we're at, you know.
I need to be careful.
This is
now, interestingly enough, 2 of the plaintiffs also were people who happened to file a bill for the availability of cannabis for adult use this last session. And I thought it was an actually great bill.
Actually, it's Representative Angie Nixon.
Yeah, it is better than the next Amendment 3 because of the fact it doesn't automatically demand that all the cannabis shops are the current MMTCs. You actually break open the market and you give it a much better take than it's been. What happened to that bill?
It was never heard because Republicans are not interested in legalizing cannabis. Look, here's what I know amendment people feel how they feel about Amendment 3. People feel how they feel about Amendment 4. I get it, but let's look at the facts.
Yep.
Nearly 60% of Floridians supported Amendment 3 and Amendment 4. So just because it didn't make 60% doesn't mean it's not good policy.
A lot of people didn't vote. Yeah,
we
got the numbers. It's polling.
It might not be 60%, but a clear majority of Floridians said in November 2024 they want legal weed. A clear majority.
Yeah.
And then a clear majority in Florida, which is a red state, said that they want to overturn the state's extreme 6-week abortion ban. That is what a clear majority of Floridians said, including a vast number of Republican voters who supported Amendments 3 and Amendment 4. So the lesson learned from that in the legislature should be, oh, you know what? Maybe Amendment 3 wasn't perfect, but I mean, our voters have just told us that they want legal weed. Let's go ahead and do this legislatively. Let's go ahead and, put the bills forward, hear them, do this, because even though it wasn't 60%, a clear majority of Floridians want this. Nope, they didn't hear any of the cannabis legalization bills. Same with abortion. A clear majority said they wanted to overturn the extreme 6-week ban. So what did we do? We did nothing to weaken the 6-week mandate that we have a near total abortion ban in the state of Florida. Here's what we did do, though. What we did do in response to what a clear majority of Floridians said that they support, they did make it nearly impossible for future citizen-led amendments and ballot initiatives to make it on the ballot. They put all of these new onerous restrictions on citizen-led constitutional amendments like Amendment 3 or Amendment 4, regardless of subject, because they don't want to make it that easy, they claim, for Floridians to change the Constitution. It's not. Hey, I don't think it should be easy to change the Constitution either. It's already nearly fucking impossible to do it. So the fact that they made it even harder just goes to show you how out of touch they are.
And Senator, I just want to characterize it by way what you mean harder is they made it to where you actually have to have a ridiculous amount of money to do this. So they just put it out of the reach of regular citizens. So now the moneyed interest in the state that we've already talked significantly about this episode in the grift are the ones that can change the laws now, not we the people, basically, because you're going to have to hire for petition gathering folks in a certain amount of counties, and those petition gatherers are going to have to be so professional because you can't just be volunteers. And if you're paying people, there's more hoops to jump through. I mean, there's reporting to make it so onerous that, a bootstrap grassroots initiative can't do anything to change public policy anymore. It's only going to be moneyed interest in Florida that can mess with our Constitution.
And
and they've shortened the time frame that you have to send those petitions back as well.
Yeah.
So that leads us back into the point that we are representative government, which means our representatives in Tallahassee, their senators and representatives, are supposed to be there to help legislate for us to go ahead and give us the things that we want. And which is interestingly enough, we had 21 cannabis bills this last session. Even the bill for food and hemp products that Trabulsi and Davis put through, that one didn't go through either. And yet that was something that the Republicans did actually want.
21 bills, Gary, you say 21 opportunities that the Republicans in Florida who are elected had to do something and improve the lives of cannabis consumers, cannabis patients, people suffering from chronic debilitating illnesses, people who are parents, people who are hardworking folks, and they're still going to get fired from their jobs, even though they have legal medicine. People are still getting pulled over and illegally searched, even though they got legal medicine. This is what we got. This is when we talk about representative government. I'm like, elections matter. Yeah, you want to know how much elections matter? When there came a shitty bill this session that they pushed through and everybody voted for it, I called up this man right here, Senator Smith. I said, Senator Smith, I don't think they gave you the 411 on what you're really voting for on this. And he listened, and never in the history of my life have I seen an elected legislator listen to their constituents, listen to small business owners, and change their vote and said, put it on record. I'm against this. Right. Even if everybody else is for it. And Senator, that's the type of character that you have, and I appreciate you standing up for us, because that there are few and far between folks like that are in elected office.
Thank you for that, Chris. And you're talking about how it was the only no vote in the Florida Senate for the hemp regulation bill. Look, I won't get too much into the details of the policy because a lot of it I'm way less familiar with than you are. You are the subject matter experts, and also
DJ actually Carlos here is because he's the small business owner. It's his livelihood is being affected by these regulations, And you know, he could tell you all about it from the perspective of the people going through it.
I know it, Carlos. I know it. Well, and here's and what I'll say just really briefly is just eventually one of these hemp regulation bills is going to pass, right? It didn't pass this year because we ran out of time, it got blocked, whatever. Eventually one of these hemp regulation bills is going to pass. And I think everyone knows that, but it can't pass in its current form. Like some of the stuff that was in there, like related to like not even letting you sell your products at like a trade show or a fundraiser or something like that. There's just like so many little details that are just so punitive and so like just not like, yeah, there needs to be a regulation of hemp, but the proposals they keep putting forward ain't it.
Well, you know, it even bothered me about how they do events and how nonprofits like NORML won't be able to have, hemp vendors support our events anymore. And without support of people like Chillum and Carlos and Hannah and Vinny at Cushy Pies, and even like we have a Dab Day coming up here tomorrow in Tampa from 4 to midnight. Dab Day Productions is hosting 710 Dab Day at the Cuban Club for the second year in a row. They're bringing in I just saw them setting up the stage. I mean, there's gonna be so much economic just energy coming into Tampa, good for our businesses, good for
Hell yeah.
And they're going to make it harder to do events like this moving forward next session if they pass this bill. And we've seen this bill come up multiple times in different forms. Each and every year they make it harder for small businesses, for nonprofits. This is not a pro free enterprise political party or folks in power that we're seeing. And Senator, you're one voice among 40, and we appreciate you being the loudest voice possible even when it's hard.
Gotta get more shirts and stuff made.
Thanks, y'all. I appreciate it. I'm getting close to the time that I need to bounce.
You're busy, man. You got a lot of things going on. We appreciate you looking after our tax dollars and looking out for the safety of other people.
Always, friends.
Thank you so much, Senator. It was a pleasure. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's always great to be on the rotation.
Hey, indeed. Hey, we appreciate you. Indeed. Carlos, I think with all that, it's time for the normal news, man.
Have a good day,
y'all.
Senator.
Look, when it comes to the news, there is just so much to be said, but we just said a lot on this episode. So I'm just going to recap a lot that's going on that I think is important to you all. One is I just wanted to recover and recommit about this bill that was essentially part of the Department of Health's budget here in the state of Florida that can affect you all with medical cannabis cards. So understand that in the new budget for the Department of Health, in the bill that the governor has signed and touted and he's so happy about is Senate Bill 2514, and it suspends the registration of medical cannabis patients and caregivers who have certain drug-related convictions on their record. The new provisions are included in the Health and Human Services Appropriation Bill, and the language reads as the department shall immediately suspend the registration of any patient or caregiver convicted of trafficking in the sale, manufacture, or delivery of or possession with intent to sell of a controlled substance. So understand that those who have their registrations revoked may reapply to participate in the program after they've completed all terms related to their conviction. There are some 900,000 plus, close to 1 million Floridians registered currently in the state's medical cannabis access program. And what this really means is that, if, as we said before, you're not on point with your paperwork when it comes to your medical card, to how you transport your medicine, treat it like an open container. Don't have joints and roaches, and don't smoke in your car. Don't hotbox. There are so many things that can get you in trouble here in the state of Florida, even if you're legally able to purchase and utilize your cannabis. And with these new, law, you essentially can have your privileges and card revoked for this life-saving medicine that folks with chronic debilitating illnesses need. So be more careful with your paperwork. There's a lot of anti-democratic sentiment. And when I say democratic, I mean the will of the people. I don't mean the political party. I mean that looking at our constitutional republic and the powers that we have, there are more and more draconian laws being passed to make it harder and harder for hardworking people minding their business to do exactly that. You can go around your day minding your business, get pulled over, and we've talked about the stories today of how people's lives are being upended right now, and inhumane consequences that people are suffering from these current policies and laws. And that's why organizations like NORML exist. We've been on the front lines fighting for cannabis reform for over 50 years. Suncoast NORML here, we're a loud and proud chapter. We've been doing this more than a decade. And we continue to bring you the rotation each and every week. So we want you to hit that like and subscribe button. Go ahead and make your comments and ask questions and continue to like and share. Go back and look at some past episodes, get us some views up. We definitely want to continue the best in latest cannabis news, entertainment policy, continue to bring you amazing guests like the senator. We got members of Congress that have come on the show. We got more members of Congress coming on the show in future weeks to talk about where we are with legalizing it in America. We have 25 states now that have medical marijuana, adult use marijuana, legal, recreational. There are 40 medical states, with Texas expanding this program now. As a policy, cannabis criminalization continues to be used against American citizens. You see how we just talked about the story today, how it's being used against non-citizens, just everyday hardworking people going about their business, getting arrested and having their lives upended for these bad policies and wasting our tax dollars on top of it. And so, we had the opportunity in 24 to legalize it. People had gripes around, how things are structured. And I think it's a lot to do with money and politics. People see how money is corrupting our political system and how it's making a way for small mom and pop shops, how it's making a way for just everyday people to make it harder for them to get into business, to get into the cannabis industry. And so folks got to make a decision in the grand scheme of things of where they are with the 2026 amendment. Obviously, someone just asked me to sign a petition today to put it on the ballot as I was walking into the shop here, and I signed it. I signed it because I want people to have the opportunity to vote and let their voices be heard. And if people vote and legalize it, I think that's great. There's a lot to be said about concerns folks have with putting it in the Constitution, the smoking ban. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, what is greater? Continuing to arrest people. You heard that you can have your cards revoked for having, felony amounts. And again, a felony amount in Florida is just 20 grams or more. I mean, you're looking at more than 20 grams. It's scary to think that an ounce can upend your life, catch you mandatory minimums, take away your civil rights. So as a cannabis consumer, you're in danger all the time. And I just say all this to tell folks, be careful out there. If you're a medical cannabis card holder, make sure that you understand the laws, make sure you understand the policies. Make sure that you understand that there is no false sense of comfort with the freedom that comes with being able to have access to legal cannabis. Our policing hasn't changed. Our legal structures are not changing. And with the way money and politics are, they are trying to make money off of you, whether it's hustling you out of your hard-earned money for citations, whether it's trying to force you to engage in the legal system and fleece you for fines, whether they try to turn you into a slave and pimp you out as slave labor in the prison system. This is where we're at right now in America. And, the senator said, this is new to him. He's an ex-NEO, just like I am, just like Carlos. So, this is our moment in our lifetime as adults where we've seen it bad. But, I mean, they did the same thing to Japanese Americans during World War II and put them in internment camps. They were snatching Native American children out of their families and forcing them to learn English up until in the 70s. They were forcefully sterilizing people depending on their race or ethnicity in the American South all the way up into the 80s. I mean, and so, this is America in a lot of ways. We got to, when Childish Gambino said, "This is America, don't let them catch you slipping." That was not an exaggeration in any way sense. That was a commentary on our culture and a solid one and one that's on point. And so out there as a cannabis consumer, there's strength in numbers. We have been doing things together here at NORML, and we need to continue to have your support. So again, become a member of Suncoast NORML, become a member of the National Organization for Reform Marijuana Laws, make your donations. We need your time, your treasure, your talent. If you want to volunteer, if you want to get active, fantastic. Become a member, sign up. You get a discount with your membership, which is great here at Chillum. and we got plenty of other member benefits. There's an opportunity to attend the free webinars that we partner to make sure that medical marijuana awareness webinars host on a regular basis for folks. Marijuana Doctor has recommendations that are offered to our members. You can go on our website and check out all these resources. And for Dab Day tomorrow, if you type in promo code NORML, NORML, you can get a discount on your tickets. I'm pretty excited for it. We'll be out there. We have a tent. Shout out to Cushy Pies for partnering with us in donating the tent so we can stay cool out there. It's going to be an amazing time at the Cuban Club, and there's going to be live music, tons of vendors. This is the second annual Dab Day being held in Tampa. I'm excited for it. Shout out to Cody and all the folks at Dab Day Productions for making this happen. Go back and check out that episode with the organizers of Dab Day that we have in our YouTube archive. And if you're watching this on social media, I'm pretty excited to just have this amazing celebration of culture, which we heard today on the show is going to be even harder and harder to do moving forward in the state of Florida. But all in all, we're gonna have a great time. And again, we're going to catch y'all in the rotation each and every Sunday with amazing guests. So tune in and hit us that like and subscribe button. Check us out, and we'll catch y'all next Sunday in the rotation. Peace.